The summer heat shimmered across the New Mexican desert like a living thing, distorting the horizon into wavering lines. 12-year-old Zara Mitchell adjusted her wide-brimmed hat, squinting at her tablet screen as she recorded magnetic anomaly readings for her parents' archaeological survey. Most kids spent their summer vacation at camps or pools, but Zara preferred the quiet solitude of the desert and its buried secrets. Getting anything interesting? Professor Rachel Mitchell, her mother, called from the main dig site. The excavation had been going on for 3 months, supposedly investigating ancient Native American settlements. But something about this site was different. Zara could feel it in her bones. "Nothing yet," Zara replied, though she hadn't been entirely truthful. For the past week, her equipment had been picking up strange electromagnetic pulses that didn't match any known pattern. She hadn't told her parents because she wanted to investigate herself first. After all, they rarely took her theories seriously, still seeing her as their little girl rather than the budding scientist she was becoming. The sun was beginning to set when her tablet suddenly erupted with readings that sent the meter spinning. Zara's heart raced as she traced the signal to its source, leading her toward a small outcropping of rocks she passed 100 times before. But this time, something was different. A faint purple glow emanated from a crack in the stone, barely visible in the growing darkness. Zara knew she should get her parents, but curiosity drove her forward. She pulled out her flashlight and carefully approached the crevice. The purple light pulsed in sync with her tablet's readings, almost like it was responding to her presence. Using her rock hammer, a birthday gift from her father, she carefully cleared away some loose debris. The light grew stronger, and suddenly the ground beneath her feet shifted. Zara jumped back as a section of rock slid away, revealing a metallic surface underneath that definitely didn't belong in an ancient Native American site. The metal was unlike anything she'd ever seen, with a surface that seemed to ripple like water despite being solid to the touch. "Dad," she finally called out, her voice trembling with excitement. "Mom, you need to see this." Professor James Mitchell arrived first, his face flushed from running. He stopped short when he saw the exposed metal, his archaeological expertise telling him immediately that this was something unprecedented. "Rachel," he shouted, "bring the advanced scanning equipment." Now, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, the entire research team assembled around Zora's discovery. Portable floodlights illuminated the area as sophisticated scanning devices were set up. The purple glow had intensified, and now strange symbols were appearing on the metal surface, flowing like liquid mercury. "This isn't possible," Rachel whispered, staring at her readings. "These energy signatures, they're not natural, and the metal composition doesn't match anything in our database." Zara stood back, watching as her parents and their colleagues worked. She felt a strange connection to whatever lay buried beneath the sand, as if it had been waiting specifically for her to find it. The symbols seemed familiar somehow, like words on the tip of her tongue that she couldn't quite remember. As the night progressed, more of the structure was carefully uncovered. It became clear they were dealing with something massive. Preliminary ground-penetrating radar suggested it extended at least 50 meters in each direction and went deep underground. But what shocked everyone into silence was when they cleared the area around what appeared to be an entrance. The door, if it could be called that, was a perfect circle of the same flowing metal, covered in spiraling symbols that pulsed with internal light. And in the center, at exactly Zora's eye level, was a handprint depression that seemed to be sized for a child. "Don't even think about it," her father said, noticing her gaze. "We need to contact the proper authorities. This is way beyond our expertise." But Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The symbols were changing, shifting into new patterns that seemed increasingly urgent. Her tablet, still recording, showed energy levels rising steadily. "It's trying to communicate," she said, though she wasn't sure how she knew this. "I don't think we have time to wait." Before anyone could stop her, Zara stepped forward and placed her hand in the depression. The metal was warm, almost alive under her touch. For a moment, nothing happened, and she could hear her mother beginning to scold her. Then everything changed. The symbols flared with brilliant light, and a humming filled the air that seemed to resonate with her very bones. The circular door began to iris open, revealing a corridor that glowed with the same purple light that had first caught her attention. "Zara, step back," her mother cried, but Zara remained frozen in place as information flooded her mind. She understood now. This wasn't just a ship or a structure. It was a sentinel, placed here thousands of years ago to watch and wait for the right person to awaken it. And somehow, impossibly, it had chosen her. The ground trembled as more of the ship began to activate, systems dormant for millennia coming back to life. As her parents pulled her back from the entrance, Zara knew with absolute certainty that her life, and possibly the fate of humanity, had just changed forever. "It's not dangerous," she said, though she couldn't explain how she knew. "It's been waiting for us. Waiting for me." The desert night, usually so quiet, was now alive with the hum of ancient machinery and the excited voices of the research team. As emergency calls were made and additional equipment was rushed to the site, Zara stood at the threshold of discovery, her mind racing with possibilities. She had found something beyond extraordinary. But as the ship's systems continued to activate, sending pulses of energy into the sky, she realized this was just the beginning. Whatever purpose this vessel served, whatever message it carried from the distant past, she was now part of its story. And somewhere, deep in the vast expanse of space, something stirred in response to the ship's awakening signal. The next 48 hours transformed the quiet archaeological site into a hive of activity. Military personnel, scientists, and government officials swarmed the area, setting up temporary structures and sophisticated monitoring equipment. Through it all, Zara remained near the ship's entrance, the only person who could activate its systems. Dr. Isabella Rodriguez, the lead xenorchaeologist brought in by the government, worked closely with Zara and her parents to document every aspect of their incredible discovery. "The ship's metal composition is unlike anything we've ever encountered," she explained, examining readings from her instruments. "It appears to be some kind of programmable matter that responds to specific genetic markers." Zara sat cross-legged before a holographic display that had activated in what they determined was the ship's control center. The purple symbols that had initially drawn her to the ship now floated in three-dimensional space, gradually resolving themselves into recognizable patterns. "It's like it's teaching me," she said, watching as the symbols rearranged themselves. "Every time I understand one set of symbols, it shows me more complex ones." Her father stood nearby, frantically taking notes. "The rate of information transfer is remarkable. It's as if the ship's systems were specifically designed to interface with a developing mind." A soft chime echoed through the chamber, and new holographic displays materialized around them. At their center, a figure began to take shape, tall, ethereal, and composed of shifting light patterns. The being's form suggested humanoid features but remained distinctly alien. "Greetings, young one," the figure spoke, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "I am Atlas, the guardian intelligence of this vessel. You have awakened me from my long vigil." The scientists and military personnel present fell silent, watching in awe as humanity made its first contact with an alien intelligence. Zara, however, felt no fear, only a deep sense of recognition. "Why me?" she asked, voicing the question that had burned in her mind since that first touch of the control panel. Atlas's form shifted, creating patterns that reminded Zara of flowing water. "Our creators, the Asteri, understood that the greatest wisdom often comes from those whose minds are still open to possibility. They designed this vessel's systems to respond only to those who possess both innocence and understanding, what you would call children, but specifically those with the capacity to comprehend our mission." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial shock. "And what is your mission?" The holographic chamber darkened, and stars appeared around them. "To protect," Atlas replied. The Asteri were not the first advanced civilization in this galaxy, nor were they the last. They observed a pattern, a cycle of destruction that repeats itself across millennia. They established outposts like this one across thousands of worlds, waiting for species with the potential to break this cycle. Images flashed through the chamber, magnificent cities on distant worlds, advanced civilizations that stretched across solar systems, and then darkness. Destruction on an unimaginable scale. The Asteri themselves fell victim to this cycle. Atlas continued, but not before they seeded the galaxy with vessels like this one, each containing their accumulated knowledge and technology, each waiting for the right civilization and the right individual to claim their legacy. Zara's mother stepped closer to her daughter, protective instinct warring with scientific amazement. Why now? Why has the ship awakened after all this time? Atlas's form condensed, becoming more focused. Because time grows short, the same force that destroyed the Asteri has begun to stir again. Humanity's advancement has drawn their attention, just as it did with countless civilizations before. The implications of this statement sent a chill through the chamber. General Laura Hayes, who had been silently observing until now, spoke up. Are you saying Earth is in danger? Earth has always been in danger, Atlas corrected. I am saying that now you have the opportunity to defend yourselves. But the journey ahead is complex. The ship's knowledge and capabilities cannot simply be taken. They must be understood, integrated gradually. This is why we needed someone like Zara. Her mind is capable of forming the necessary neural pathways to comprehend our technology without being overwhelmed. Zara stood, approaching Atlas's holographic form. You want to teach me? I want to prepare you. Atlas replied. You will be the bridge between your people and ours. Through you, humanity will gain access to knowledge that took the Asteri millions of years to accumulate. But we must proceed carefully. Too much, too quickly, could be disastrous. The military personnel exchanged worried glances, clearly concerned about the time factor. But Zara's father spoke up. This isn't just about technology, is it? You're talking about evolution, about helping humanity advance in a controlled, guided way. Precisely, Atlas confirmed. The ship is not merely a repository of knowledge. It is a tool for transformation. But that transformation must begin with understanding. As if to demonstrate, new holographic displays appeared, showing complex mathematical equations that made the scientists gasp in recognition. These are solutions to problems we've been working on for decades, Dr. Rodriguez whispered. A small demonstration, Atlas said, but our time grows short. Zara, are you willing to accept this responsibility? To serve as the conduit between your civilization and ours? Zara looked at her parents, seeing the mixture of pride and concern in their eyes. Then she turned to the assembled scientists and military leaders, all waiting for her response. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, but instead of fear, she felt a surge of determination. I accept, she said firmly, but I have one condition. My parents stay involved. We do this as a family. Atlas's form brightened, and Zara could have sworn the alien intelligence was smiling. The Asteri would approve. They too understood that the strongest foundations are built on bonds of love and trust. The chamber hummed with new energy as more systems activated, responding to Zara's acceptance. As the assembled humans watched in wonder, the ship began its first data transfer, starting humanity down a path that would change their civilization forever. But in the depths of space, something ancient and malevolent detected the ship's awakening, and it began to move. 3 weeks into Zara's training with Atlas, the desert facility had transformed into an international research center. Scientists from around the world worked in shifts, analyzing every piece of data that Atlas shared through Zara's carefully paced learning sessions. The morning sun had barely risen when Zara entered the ship's central chamber, her mind still processing yesterday's lessons about quantum mechanics. The holographic displays activated automatically, recognizing her presence. You seem troubled, young one. Atlas materialized, its light patterns reflecting concern. Your neural patterns indicate decreased rest. Zara nodded, settling into her usual spot. I had dreams last night, except they didn't feel like dreams. I saw cities I'd never visited, technologies I'd never imagined. And something else. Something dark. Atlas's form flickered momentarily. The neural interface is progressing faster than anticipated. You're beginning to access the Asteres' collective memories. Before they could continue, urgent footsteps echoed through the chamber. Dr. Rodriguez burst in, her tablet displaying complex data streams. The deep space arrays picked up something. Multiple objects, moving at impossible speeds, all heading toward our solar system. Atlas's form expanded, filling the chamber with a star map. They have detected us sooner than expected. The awakening of this vessel has drawn their attention. Who are they? Zara asked, though part of her already knew the answer from her dreams. The Harvesters, Atlas replied, projecting images of massive crystalline structures that seem to devour entire worlds. They are as old as the galaxy itself. They seek out civilizations at crucial developmental stages and eliminate them, consuming their resources and technological achievements. Dr. Rodriguez's face paled. How long do we have? At their current velocity, 6 months. Atlas' projection shifted to show the object's trajectory. But this time, we have an advantage. The Asteres spent millennia studying them, learning their weaknesses. All of that knowledge is stored within this vessel. Zara stood, approaching the star map. That's why the ship chose now to awaken. It knew they were coming. Correct. The Harvesters follow patterns, targeting civilizations that reach certain technological thresholds. Humanity's recent advances in quantum computing and space exploration marked you as their next potential target. General Hayes entered the chamber, accompanied by representatives from various world governments. Then we need to accelerate the knowledge transfer. Earth's combined military forces won't stand a chance against something that can destroy entire civilizations. No, Zara said firmly, surprising herself with her certainty. Atlas already explained why we can't rush this. The knowledge has to be integrated properly, or it could destroy us just as surely as the Harvesters. The general started to protest, but Atlas interjected. The young one is correct. But there is another solution. The holographic display shifted, revealing schematics for what appeared to be defensive satellites. These are designs for a planetary shield network based on technology that successfully protected several Asteri worlds. With Zara's help, we can begin construction immediately while continuing the broader knowledge transfer. Over the next few hours, Atlas shared detailed plans for Earth's defense. The satellites would create an energy field capable of disrupting the Harvesters' quantum drives, forcing them into conventional space where they would be vulnerable. But building the network would require unprecedented global cooperation. There's something else, Zara said suddenly, her mind connecting patterns she'd seen in her dreams. The Harvesters, they're not just destroying civilizations, are they? They're searching for something. Atlas's form dimmed slightly. You perceive more than expected. Yes, the Harvesters seek the source of all conscious life in our galaxy, what the Asteri called the Seed Core. They believe its power would allow them to reshape reality itself. And do you know where it is? Dr. Rodriguez asked. The Asteri discovered its location shortly before their fall. That knowledge is hidden deep within this vessel's systems, protected by safeguards that even I cannot fully access. Only when Zara's training is complete will those secrets be revealed. General Hayes straightened. Then we have 2 missions. Build the defense network and complete Zara's training before the Harvesters arrive. As if in response to the general's words, new alerts flashed across the holographic displays. The approaching objects had accelerated, cutting their arrival time to 5 months. Zara felt the weight of responsibility settling deeper into her bones. She was no longer just learning for the sake of knowledge. She was racing against time to save her world. The dreams she'd been having, the fragments of Asteri memories, All seemed to be pointing towards something greater than merely defending Earth. "There's more to this story," she said, looking up at Atlas. "The Asteri, they didn't just fail to stop the harvesters. They sacrificed themselves to set up something bigger, something that's supposed to happen now with us." Atlas's form brightened. "You begin to understand. The Asteri saw many possible futures, and in every successful outcome, it was not technology alone that defeated the harvesters. It was the combination of technology and something uniquely human, something you possess in abundance, young one." "What's that?" "Hope," Atlas replied. "The ability to imagine a better future and fight for it, no matter the odds. The harvesters cannot comprehend this. It is their one weakness, and the reason the Asteri chose Earth for this vessel." As the implications of Atlas's words sank in, Zara remembered something from her dreams, an image of countless worlds united, standing against the darkness between stars. Perhaps humanity's role in this ancient conflict was larger than anyone had imagined. But first, they had to survive the coming storm. A cold wind swept across the desert facility as Zara watched the first defense satellite launch into the pre-dawn sky. 3 months had passed since the harvester's detection, and humanity had united with unprecedented speed and determination. The ship's advanced manufacturing techniques had transformed production facilities worldwide, allowing the rapid construction of the planetary defense network. "Satellite Alpha 7 has achieved optimal orbit," reported Lieutenant Rhea Peddle from the newly established Earth Defense Command Center. "Shield harmonics are synchronizing with the existing network." Zara nodded, her mind connected to the satellite network through interfaces Atlas had helped design. The neural connection allowed her to feel each satellite as it came online, their combined energy forming a protective web around Earth. But the strain of maintaining these connections was taking its toll. "Your neural patterns show significant stress," Atlas observed as Zara entered the ship's chamber later that day. "Perhaps we should pause the advanced theoretical training." "We can't," Zara replied, settling into her meditation pose. "The harvesters have accelerated again. 3 months until they reach our solar system." The chamber filled with holographic displays showing the approaching threat. The crystalline ships had grown clearer in their long-range scans, revealing structures that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Each was the size of a small moon, their surfaces fractal patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "There's something we're missing," Zara said, studying the images. "In my dreams, I keep seeing a pattern, but it slips away when I wake up." Atlas's form shifted thoughtfully. "The Asteri memories are becoming more integrated with your consciousness, perhaps." A sudden alarm interrupted them. Dr. Rodriguez rushed in, her face grave. "We've detected quantum distortions at the edge of the Kuiper belt. They're sending scouts ahead of the main fleet." The holographic display shifted to show 3 smaller crystalline vessels approaching Earth at relativistic speeds. The defense satellites automatically adjusted their positions, preparing for humanity's first encounter with the harvesters. "All personnel to battle stations," General Hayes's voice echoed through the facility. "This is not a drill." Zara closed her eyes, connecting more deeply with the satellite network. Through the neural interface, she could feel the approaching ship's strange energy signatures. They felt wrong somehow, like tears in the fabric of reality. The first scout ship entered the satellite network's range. Energy beams lanced out from multiple satellites, converging on the crystalline vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's quantum field collapsed, forcing it into normal space. "It worked," Dr. Rodriguez exclaimed. "The Asteri shields." Her celebration was cut short as the scout ship began to change shape, its crystalline surface flowing like liquid metal. Before their eyes, it split into dozens of smaller vessels, each adapting to the shield frequency. "They're learning," Atlas observed, its tone concerned. "The harvesters have evolved since their last encounter with the Asteri." Zara felt a sudden pressure in her mind as the scout ships attacked the satellite network. Through the neural interface, she experienced each impact, each attempt to breach Earth's defenses. But something else was happening. The Asteri memories were becoming clearer, showing her something crucial. The satellites, she gasped. They're not just defensive weapons. The Asteri designed them to be something more. Her hands moved across the holographic controls, guided by ancient memory. The satellite network began to pulse with new energy, its pattern shifting into something more complex. The scout ships, preparing for another attack, suddenly found themselves caught in a quantum resonance field. Of course, Dr. Rodriguez breathed, watching the data streams. The shields aren't just stopping them. They're trapping them in a space-time bubble. But the victory was short-lived. The remaining scout ships adapted again, their crystalline structures vibrating at frequencies that threatened to shatter the quantum bubble. And behind them, at the edge of the solar system, the main harvester fleet continued its approach. "We need to complete your training," Atlas said urgently. "The knowledge of the Sea Core." "No," Zara interrupted, a new understanding dawning. "That's what they want." The harvesters didn't just detect the ship's awakening. They detected me accessing the Sea Core's location. They're not here to harvest Earth's technology. They're here for what's hidden in my mind. The revelation hit the chamber like a physical force. Dr. Rodriguez and the other scientists exchanged worried glances as they realized the true stakes of their situation. "Then we hide you," General Hayes said firmly. "We evacuate you to a secure facility." "That won't work," Zara replied, watching as the scout ships continued their assault on the defense network. "As long as I'm alive, they'll keep coming." The Asteri knew this would happen. That's why they needed someone young, someone who could see a solution they couldn't. Atlas's form flickered with what might have been concern. "What are you suggesting, young one?" Zara stood, her expression determined despite her exhaustion. "The Asteri sacrificed themselves to protect the Sea Core's secret. But maybe the secret isn't meant to be protected. Maybe it's meant to be used." As if in response to her words, new symbols appeared in the holographic display, different from any they'd seen before. And in Zara's mind, the final pieces of the Asteri's plan began to fall into place. The true battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. Time seemed to slow in the ship's central chamber as Zara decoded the new symbols swirling through the holographic display. Earth's defense satellites continued their desperate battle against the Harvester Scouts. But she barely noticed. The ancient Asteri memories had finally aligned in her mind, revealing a truth both beautiful and terrifying. "The Sea Core isn't a place or a thing," she announced, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "It's a pattern, the underlying code of consciousness itself. The Asteri didn't hide it somewhere. They scattered it across countless minds throughout the galaxy." Atlas's form pulsed with confirmation. And in doing so, they ensured it could never be captured or controlled. Each conscious being carries a fragment of the pattern. "But you, young one," the AI continued, "through your connection with this vessel, have begun to perceive the pattern as a whole." The main harvester fleet was now visible to Earth's long-range telescopes, their crystalline ships distorting space itself as they approach. They would reach the solar system within hours. Dr. Rodriguez studied the new data streaming across her screens. The defense network can't withstand a full assault. Even with the quantum bubbles, they'll eventually break through. "They won't have to," Zara said, stepping into the center of the chamber. "Because we're going to show them what they've been looking for all along." General Hayes frowned. "That's exactly what we're trying to prevent." "No," Zara smiled, understanding flooding through her. "We're going to show them why they can never have it." "Atlas, initiate full neural synchronization." The AI hesitated. "The risk to your consciousness is necessary," Zara finished. The Asteri knew this moment would come. They chose Earth not just because of our potential, but because of what makes us different from the harvesters. We understand something they never could. The chamber hummed with energy as Atlas began the synchronization. Zara's consciousness expanded, connecting not just to the defense network, but to the ship's deepest systems. Through them, she could feel the approaching harvesters, ancient, powerful, but ultimately empty. They had spent billions of years consuming civilizations, searching for the source of consciousness, never realizing their quest was destroying the very thing they sought. Mom, Dad, she turned to her parents, who had remained steadfast through everything. I need you to trust me one more time. Rachel and James Mitchell stepped forward, tears in their eyes, but pride on their faces. Always, her mother whispered. The Harvester fleet entered the solar system, their massive ships making Jupiter look small in comparison. The scout ships renewed their attack on Earth's defenses with increased fury. They sense what we're about to do, Atlas observed. Zara nodded, raising her hands as new holographic controls appeared. Then let's show them what they've been missing. Through her enhanced consciousness, Zara reached out to the defense satellites. But instead of focusing their energy on the harvesters, she turned them toward Earth itself. The satellites began to pulse in a complex rhythm, matching the pattern she now understood was woven into all living things. My God, Dr. Rodriguez breathed, watching her instruments. The satellites are amplifying consciousness itself. Every living thing on Earth is becoming part of the pattern. The harvesters' assault faltered as they encountered something entirely new. Instead of technology to consume or resources to harvest, they faced the combined consciousness of an entire world. Through Zara and the ship's systems, humanity's collective awareness reached out to the ancient beings. In that moment of connection, the harvesters experienced something they had never known in their billions of years of existence. They felt the joy, pain, love, and hope of countless individual minds choosing to share their existence. They felt the thing they had sought for so long, but could never understand by force. The crystalline ships hung motionless in space as their creators faced a fundamental truth. The seed core couldn't be taken because it only existed in the connections between conscious beings. It was the choice to share, to grow, to face the unknown together. Zara felt the harvesters' confusion turn to comprehension. Their ships began to change, the crystalline structures flowing into new forms that no longer hurt to look at. The threat of destruction was replaced by the possibility of communication. They understand now, she said, her consciousness still linked to the vast network of minds. The Asteri didn't fail. This was their plan all along, not to defeat the harvesters, but to help them evolve. As the defense satellites powered down, their energy no longer needed for protection. Zara felt the neural connection beginning to fade. But something of the experience would remain with everyone who had participated, a glimpse of the vast pattern that connected all conscious life. What happens now? General Hayes asked, staring at the transformed harvester ships. Atlas's form brightened. Now the real work begins. The harvesters possess knowledge gathered from countless civilizations. With their evolution, they can become teachers rather than destroyers. And humanity, having proven itself ready for this moment, can help guide other worlds toward the same understanding. Zara felt the weight of the past months lifting from her shoulders. The ship had chosen her not just to access its knowledge or defend Earth, but to help bridge the gap between what was and what could be. As the sun rose over the desert facility, casting long shadows across the ancient vessel that had changed everything, Zara Mitchell, no longer just a 12-year-old girl, but not quite the same person she had been, looked up at the sky with new eyes. The stars held no more threats, only possibilities. The legacy of the Asteri had been fulfilled, but humanity's journey was just beginning.